tell you everything I've seen, the friends I've made, and then you tell me how you've been. Look a little closer, it's been quite some time. You gotta let me know if I'm out of line. But there's some words that I just want.
So it's like 4:45 p.m. and the sun is pretty much set, behind the trees, and most likely it's under the horizon by now. And so we still have just that, lingering light before twilight. I just checked the power, and our tongue power, which is 2 6-volt AGMs, I think 220 amp hours, which really at 50% means 100 usable amp hours. And they are, well, let's take a look.
At 88%. And that's not too bad. And, ignore that number. That's basically the number of kilowatt hours we drew since the beginning of time. We're at 12.8 volts. So that's pretty good. So I'm going to let that ride for a while, but I'm going to show you a little trick that will allow us to just come off the AGM batteries and hook up directly to a power station, but not in the way you think. I'll show you.
The time has come where I'm going to switch to my lithium iron phosphate power station battery to power the GeoPro for the rest of the night, overnight. And it's real simple to do. Now, it's not what you're thinking. I could turn this on, and you can see it's at 100%. And I could plug directly into it on the AC side. That's not what I'm talking about. This would deliver, 12. This is a 1200 watt station. I also have a 2000 watt hour station, a Bluetti, and I have this little one here that's about 600 watts. And I use this, I carry this in the Jeep just in case I need power out there in the bush, so to speak. But no, I'm not talking about plugging into the AC side. That's easy to do on any power station if you want to just plug your whole trailer directly into the power station. What I'm talking about is DC power. What you need to understand is that if you kill the battery, shut the battery off, kill the disconnect switch on the tongue, and disconnect your DC power to the converter in your overland trailer or whatever, any RV or whatever. What that does is it leaves the DC wiring void of power. There's no power coming from the solar controller. There's no power coming into the converter from anywhere. That allows, just like in a water pipe, that allows for you to plug this 12 volt outlet in your power station using a double male plug. The shorter, now make sure you have, I'd say you want to have a 14 gauge wire, and it's 3 foot long. So the power station is right here. You take one end plug it into your power station. All right. And the other end goes into another 12-volt receptacle. Now, mine happens to have, there's in the GeoPro, this GeoPro, the 15 TB, there's only one 12-volt, what we call them, cigarette lighter type auto receptacle or plug. That happens to be right up here. And this television DVD player can access that and run off that or the AC. It's a whole nother story. But all I have to do now is plug this into that receptacle. Okay, and I'm going to just make sure that I don't have this activated. I don't. Okay. Oh, and by the way, you want these to be fused. All right. Just make sure you get a double male, each end male, with a fuse built in. Okay. And what's going to happen is when I activate the DC side of this power station, it's going to send power out into the RV. That converter box that I have, which happens to be underneath my bunk, doesn't really care where the power's coming. It doesn't even know. Well, maybe it does. I got to ask it. But no, seriously, it doesn't care. So the power, now this is a 12-volt, 10-amp circuit. We'll talk about that in a minute because that's important. But it's going to send 12 volt, 10 amps, that's what, 120 watts max, through the system, through the empty DC wiring, into the converter box. Voila. So we will be able to run up to 120 watts at any given moment. Now you say, well, Frank, that's not, what the heck can you do with 120 watts? So I'll tell you what. The night, I don't need to run, it's overnight, anything but the fridge and freezer. That runs at a nominal 42 watts. That's it, 42 watts. The heater fan, when it kicks in, it runs at, I think, 40, about the same, maybe 45 or so. So we're at about 90 watts. We're under the threshold, the 120. We still have another, 30 watts that we can run. A light or whatever. It doesn't matter. All of the lighting that I'm using, well, right now I have the house lighting on to do this video. But traditionally, I run USB rechargeable lighting everywhere in the trailer. So, and that's on a remote control. So that my lighting, I have light, I have heat, the fan, and I have my fridge and freezer. Okay. You're not going to use anything more than that overnight. Well, I shouldn't say you. I'm not going to use anything more than that overnight. So that's a hack that I do. Start, when it gets dark or whatever. Right now I've got about, what do we have here? 80% on my tongue batteries yet. I could probably run them all night, but I don't need to. Why should I do that? I'll start out in the morning, and that'll be at about 80%. Sun's up. It'll recharge to 100%. Run the GeoPro all day. We'll be out off-roading, overlanding, exploring. So that's a little hack. Let me go kill the power on the tongue, which I haven't done yet, obviously. And I'll be right back, and we'll start this process, and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, so I just went out, and I killed the power on the tongue. So the converter has no DC power coming into it. Thus, I could put on, you could see unfortunately, I have to reset my clock. but that's easy enough to do. And so let's see what happens when I kick in the keep forgetting which power station this is. All the buttons are in a different spot on each one of them. Okay. So I just turned on the DC power. You see the red light come on here. It means the power is going through. Oh, there we go. It helps if you put the plug all the way in. So, right now we've got 58 watts, 61, 63 watts coming. Now, if I turn off the lighting, there we go. I guess we got the refrigerator going. That's what's kicked in right now. And you can see there it is. It's it's doing about 44 watts. 44, 45 watts. So, I'm in the dark, right? That's easy enough to fix. Let's put some lights on. Okay, there. What's the matter there, Stella? Huh? And one more. So there we have it. We've got our RV powered up, drawing 44 watts of power because the refrigerator compressor is running right now. All off this 1200 watt. And you'd see, when we're pulling that kind of power, 40, 41 watts now, we can do that for 16 hours. Now, if you double that, let's just say the refrigerator, freezer, and the heater fan were working all the time. We would have 8 hours worth of capacity here. But they're not. They're working maybe 35% of the time, 40% of the time, if that. So we're looking at probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 14 hours worth of power at that rate, which is more than adequate for overnight. So there's a little hack, and hopefully you guys could try that to extend your battery life. We're going to get into and do a video about how I use power, and I could be off-grid indefinitely as far as power is concerned. You know, I have other limitations, obviously, like tanks and holding tanks and such. But as far as power, I could be off-grid indefinitely, and I'll show you how I do that in another video. So like and subscribe, and that'll be coming up shortly.